Hello, everyone. It's John, your Indian cinemaniac, with another 10ish-Minute movie review. So I didn't announce which one I was going to watch. So I was going through my queue of Indian films that I want to watch and your recommendations. And I decided to take a look at the original 2011 Singham. Now, you guys know I already reviewed Singham Returns. At the time, I didn't know it was a sequel. So I said, you know what? Let's go back to the original. So that's what I'm going to review. Before I get to that, as always, please hit the subscribe button, hit the notification button, and as always, smash that like button. Okay, so let's talk about Singham. It was directed by Rohit Shetty. It stars Ajay, Ajay, no, Ajay Devgyn as uh, as Singham. Prakash Raj, who plays the bad guy, who was in KGF, Sudhanshu Pandey, and Kajal Aggarwai. Aggarwai. Um, so I love these movies because the action is so over the top, and this one was. I thought the sequel was a little more over the top, but this one was pretty over the top. And that opening scene where well, what I thought was a flashback um, was a father who's a police officer shoots himself because he's accused of corruption, and it was done in a different like a sepia tone. So I thought it was a flashback, and I actually thought this was Singham's father, and that he's the kid. Now that doesn't turn out to be true, but that's what I first thought when I saw it. Now there was a line in there about the bad guy. You know, they blame the bad guy who Prakash. The bad guy was Jykant, and he was he was he was a great bad guy. He reminded me of Eli Wallach as Calvera in Magnificent Seven. Uh, really over the top, funny, but well, the opening scene. Well, not the opening scene, but one of the early scenes is he strangles a little kid. So as funny and as goofy as he was also kind of scary. And there's a line in there where they accused him of making that guy shoot himself. And he said he's handing everybody a gun and says, go ahead, shoot yourself. Look, I can't make you shoot yourself." And then he makes a crack about Karina Kapoor, who says Karina Kapoor would be prime minister if he was in charge. And that's funny because she was in the sequel. Now, the introduction of Singham, first of all, I think any character that has their own theme is pretty cool. And they play that Singham theme throughout the film. And it's a great song. But his entrance, the first time you see him, he comes out of that water and he's just dripping wet. And it's like got this red background. And you hear the music playing in the background. Then they do the giant dance number. And he's in blue and everyone else is in orange and white. So he really stands out. And he does this thing, right? He does this thing about the lion and whatever. But the thing what I found so good about this one is Ajay or Singham. I think he has smiled in this movie more than any other movie that I've seen with him. Now I know he's done a bunch of comedies, but I haven't seen any of them. So to see him smile like that, you know, all the movies I see him in, he's just so dour. And he wasn't in this. And that dance number where he's doing that thing and all the kids are dancing around, I just loved it. So the fact that he got his own theme song was cool. You know, also he meets that girl that he ends up falling in love with, and the first thing he does is slap her. That's a big thing in India, is guys slapping women. I don't quite understand that. So now we get to the first big fight where the girl has been wronged, and he's going to straighten it out. And he goes to the movie theater, and he's got everyone lined up, and he's going to protect her honor. And he takes off his gun, he takes off his shirt, so he's in the tank top. And in this movie, the guy's jacked, right? And they go through this big long fight scene, and it was great. And there's one move that he does, and he did it in the second one too. He does this giant leap where he comes down and smacks a guy on top of the head, and they do this like over the top flip and then lands flat down. So I love that scene. I thought that was really cool. And the other scene that was good was when the bad guy, you know, the bad guy's going to have people sign for him for his probation, and Singham's not going to allow that. So he makes the guy come to him. Well, the guy comes in with all kinds of bluster to intimidate Singham, and the entire village shows up. and backs up Singham and starts smashing the cars. It was a great scene. And they were all totally like into it. They're ready to kill the guy. So that's how this whole powder keg gets started. And then so now he gets his revenge, Jacquant, because he gets him transferred to Goa where he is. And he starts doing all kinds of stuff to intimidate him. And what was funny about it was every time something would happen, he would Jacquant would call up Singham right away and just like dig into him, just keep. And so of course the pressure's building in Singham like a thermometer. He's getting angrier and angrier. So then they do this big scene on a pier. Some guys are going to rough him up, Singham. Bad move. And that scene was first of all, he starts it off by grabbing a lamppost and turning it and yanks the lamppost off the thing, and then goes up and smashes some guy in a Jeep. And now this goes back and forth. First, he chases the Jeep, right? But there's one thing that they do. They called it a Chuck Norris move, as I read into this movie, and it was the coolest scene. So the Jeep starts flipping, right? And as it's flipping, he reaches up, grabs one of the guys out of the seat, yanks him out of the seat while the car is still flipping, and then the car lands right behind him with him and the guy on the ground. It was a really cool scene. And one of the good things in this film, in the credits, they showed some making of scenes, so they showed how they did that. And I thought, wow, that was really cool. And Singer kept saying to the guy, he's the lion in the hunt. He's the lion in the hunt. And you could see how his anger was just swelling up in him. And then what else? They did the third musical number was beautiful. It was the first time, well, one of the first times, like most of the musical numbers are done in real locations that I've seen it. And this one, it was like a studio set, right? Because they had all the lights on the buildings and lights were everywhere. It was beautiful, but it looked pretty fake compared to the earlier ones where they had all the colored dust flying and everything. So that was kind of interesting. And then the conclusion where they finally, all the police were corrupt till Singham showed up. And that's the thing I like about the Singham movies, because a lot of the Indian films I've seen, the police are just like super corrupt, like really, really corrupt. And this is an honest sub inspector. And the conclusion, all the cops back him and are against a Jacquant who wins an election. And that scene where Jacquant comes into the living room after being in the bedroom, they say, we got to go somewhere. We got to get away. He thinks that the guy's covering for him. He comes out in the living room and there are all the cops. And then there's Singh. And the funniest thing was they start describing how they're going to kill him. Well, we can't do that because that won't look like an accident. We can't do that. It was just a funny scene. And the thing that took me by surprise, and this also happened in the sequel, so I guess it shouldn't take me by surprise. As an honest cop, you don't think the conclusion is going to be he's just going to straight up murder the guy. And that is what they do. I mean, they make it look like an accident, but they do straight up murder the guy. I actually thought, because they don't show it. They show the gun going off, but they don't show him actually shooting the guy. So I thought maybe it was a misdirection and they were going to shoot to the left of him or something, but they actually kill him. So, for an honest cop, I guess he had no choice, but it was still, I loved the movie. So, I love the character and the fact that, and now I will say, and I said the same thing about the sequel, and I have trouble in these movies because I always talk about tonal shifts. There's like slapsticky stuff and goofy sound effects in certain parts of this movie, generally in the love story. And it's just when you think of some of the violence and some of the real, like the villain stuff that he was doing, it just seemed out of place. And again, everyone explains to me these films are made for families, so they have to appeal to a lot of different people. It's just a strange tonal shift that I still haven't quite gotten used to. But it didn't take away from my enjoyment of the movie. I really like the movie, and I hope they make another one because I just love the character. I think it's great. So I think that one was actually about 10 minutes. So I think I kept to my 10-ish minute movie review. So check this one out. Before I tell you the next film I'm going to watch, I'm going to remind you once again to please subscribe, hit the notification button, and don't just tap that like button. I mean smash it, right? Smash it, okay? Because somehow that makes a difference in the algorithm. I don't know. So listen, the next film I'm going to watch, this came recommended by somebody, and you guys have figured out that I'm a sci-fi fan. I like fantasy. I think you understand my choice of movies. So this is a Tamil film, and it's 2016's 24, which is a time travel movie. So I'm really interested in this because I think I've only seen like a couple that were superhero-ish science fiction. I saw the trailer for this one, and this looks pretty interesting, and I don't know anybody in it. So this will be a new experience for me. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do 24. So that's it for this 10-ish minute review. Thanks for watching, everybody, and we'll see you next time with 24.